Here today in St Andrew's Church in Elveden, which is in the county of Suffolk, and today I'm once again with my main man Javi here, who we last saw with a bag of jalebis in Southall, feasting away. But I'm in this small church today because whilst doing some of the research when I was in Pakistan, where I was at the grave of Princess Bamba, her father Maharaja Duleep Singh is buried in the UK, and I mentioned that in that video because he's buried here in St Andrew's Church here in Elveden. And I've made the journey out. It's I wouldn't say it's a winter's day, but it's a bit colder than what it normally is, and it's been raining as well. And I'm just at the church. It's quite a spectacle, this church, just to look at. It's historic, and it dates back a number of hundred years. But I've come to see the graves of Maharaja Duleep Singh, as well as his wife and also one of his sons. And in fact, you can see these ones because the headstones stand out actually from the others. This one here, you can see it's got a Kandar flag there as well. So you've got the headstone here in memory of Duleep Singh, CCSI, Maharaja of Lahore, born in the Punjab 4th September 1838, died in Paris 2nd of October 1893, aged 55. And you can see that some people have left flowers, and there's also a in loving memory Maharaja Duleep Singh Ji, and it's written, Remembrance Day Maharaja Duleep Singh Ji, remembering our great Prince of Punjab from Guru Nanak Singh Gurdwara Sangat Dudley. So yeah, quite a lot of people do come here from on pilgrimages, I'm told. Quite a lot of Sikh families do come here and to pay their respects. And just next to the first grave is the grave of his wife, and it says here, in memory of Bamba Duleep Singh, Maharani, born July 6th 1848, died September 18th 1887. The Lord gave and the Lord hath taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. God is love. And this one's also decorated with the glass lamps as well, so maybe these get lit. I'm not so sure, but maybe they are. And also the grave of his son as well, in memory of Albert Edward Alexander Duleep Singh, younger son of the Maharaja and the late Maharani Bamba Duleep Singh, born in London 20th of August 1879, died at Hastings 1st of May 1893, aged 13. I can't get to the letters below because there's some flowers there, I don't want to disturb them. But yeah, the three graves that we have here, and you can see that they're quite different from the others that are here, in that their headstones look they're either renovated or they might have been put later than the original headstones, maybe, because they do stand out from the others. So this is where the end of the Sikh Empire ended up. So you've got all three of these graves here, and I've got my main man Javi with me here, who's made this journey out from Berkshire to Suffolk. Javi, how's it feel being here and seeing the grave of who was in effect the last Maharaja of the Sikh Empire?
It is quite a humbling experience to be here and to be able to witness it. And as Jas has already shown, you can see a lot of people as part of their pilgrimage. They do come here to honour the last Maharaja. Bit of a sad ending to his life, but yeah, he would be remembered as the last ruler and Maharaja of Punjab.
So yeah, just looking at the church around me here, it's quite a historic church, and I'm going to try and I've just noticed another sign actually. This is what happens when you investigating places. Normally you find other areas of significance, and the thing is I don't want to really walk on anyone's grave, but it's got here, this plaque was given by the Sikhs of the United Kingdom in memory of Maharaja Duleep Singh 1838 to 1893, unveiled by Sant Baba Amar Singh Ji in the presence of the Right Reverend John Dennis, Bishop of St Edmundsbury and Ipswich, on Friday 22nd of October 1993, erected by the Maharaja Duleep Singh Centenary Trust as part of the centenary program, bringing history and cultures together. So yes, it's quite a unique experience here, being in this this graveyard I should say, in that ever since I visited the Princess Bamba grave in Lahore, I've ended up visiting a lot of graveyards and seeing things that are of interest, and just looking at this church here, it is quite fascinating. It's just this, if this was lit up, I think this would be fantastic. It's walking down this area here. I can't see any lights here, but I think, yeah, there are lights actually, not turned on. If this was turned on in the evening, I think this would be quite a good place to film. But just looking at the area that we're in, definitely different. And there's gardens at the back of here, because one of the things is that Maharaja Duleep Singh also lived just near here. The actual house that he used to live in is now owned by the Guinness family, that are famous for the Guinness brewery. So they own the premises, and it's private premises now, so it's not something I could just go and walk into. But that was where he stayed, and that was where he lived. And he said that when he died, he wanted to be buried wherever he died. And there often is talk about having his remains repatriated to India, but I think, as most accounts will say, is that his last will and testament did say that he wanted to be buried wherever he died, and this is where he is buried, along with his wife and along with his child. So I think it's quite a unique experience here, being at this gravesite, and you can just see that totally different from the others. I walked here across from the road, and I could see that these stand out. So I walked around the church just to get to here, but they are very, very different from the others. You know, just to show you some of the other headstones. So you get some of the others, and you struggle to make out the writing. So I think a lot of effort has gone in to maintain these. I mean, you can just tell by the colour of the headstones. They are just so different. And this is where the last Maharaja ended up. So Duleep Singh, he was deposed of as the Maharaja of the Sikh Empire of Punjab when he was a child, because he took the throne when he was a child, and his mother became an acting ruler. And so after the Anglo-Sikh wars, in which the British won, he was deposed of, and he was taken in, and a British resident was put in his place. And in his early teens, Duleep Singh was brought to the UK to be looked after by John Logan, and he lived out his life in a lot of luxury. I think what the British did was they piled so much money that gave him a lifestyle that he didn't want to leave, because one of the things that they feared was, and this is why it only happened really with him and none of the other Maharajas and Nawabs who were in India, the most prized possession of the British Empire in India was the Punjab. not the other regions, which is why they decided to bring him to England, because they feared that it could form some sort of revolution. He could gather the population and they could somehow take the territory back. So bringing him here, wiping that out from the table, was a thing that the British had in mind and planned, and they kept him here, even though when he was, you know, he was really no threat even in his later life. But the British kept him here because they didn't want to do anything that would galvanize the population of Punjab and do something that enabled them to get the territory back and push away the British from that area. The only area of India which this happened, all the others, the Maharajas and Nawabs in large, were left to rule over their kingdoms. I wouldn't even say rule over, they were allowed to maintain lifestyles really. They didn't do any ruling as such. But he was the only one to have been brought back to England and kept out of the way really. That's what they did, is to keep him out of the way and make sure that the empire, the British Empire, maintained its status. So it's coming here. It's been something that I've been planning for a while actually, just visiting this place. It's a couple of hours from my house, so I decided I might as well come here and do some filming. Ever since I've filmed the footage of Princess Bamba, and if you haven't seen that, it will be in the description below, so please do have a look at the Princess Bamba video. That one has I mentioned some detail in there about Elveden and where Maharaja Duleep Singh is buried. So that was the first one that I saw. Now that I've seen his wife's, and also one of his sons that's buried here, and it's quite a fascinating experience, I'd say. I'm not sure if I would have actually visited here if I hadn't visited the grave in Pakistan. So I think that one, once I did visit it, it gave me a bit of impetus to visit the one here. It's so close, which is a bit sad really that I didn't visit it before, because I do live quite close to this, and you know, I've heard people come from other countries to visit here. So it has been a bit late for me to visit, but finally made it here, and they even got a bench here as well, but it's actually wet. I was going to sit down on there, and it's quite a wet day as well. And look at the state of my shoes. My feet now are wet, and I've got in effect I will have a 2-hour drive back home with my feet wet. I just want to see if the church is open. Let's see if the church is open. No, it's not, because I did phone up the Reverend before coming here. I phoned him up a couple of weeks ago and said to him, is it okay if I film here? And he said that it's fine. He said, do try and come here when the church is open, because the inside of it is quite nice and quite fascinating. It's not open, so I've done the wrong thing. I've turned up when the church is not open, and I'm outside walking on the grass and my feet are soaked, but it's fine. These are the sacrifices that you've got to make when you are on these expeditions. Just coming across, there's more headstones here actually. Got a bit more of a, I'm not quite sure why you've got headstones at one end and then a load of headstones at another end. I'm not sure if this is a private, I don't think it's a private ground, but maybe there are plots here that are waiting to be filled up. But yeah, just looking at this church, it's quite a nice style. And there's actually no one here. There's no reverend here. There's no one here praying. The church isn't even open. So, you know, another one where I've turned up to a empty church, empty grave, and I'm not sure, what would I do if a ghost popped out or something? What can I do? There isn't much that I can do, but the main man Javi's over there doing his filming. He's talking on the phone now, discussing what he's seen. Okay. That's my Duleep Singh footage for today. It's been a truly remarkable experience, something that a lot of people have spoken to me about. Quite a lot of people that I know have visited this place, so I'm one of the last, I think, and it's definitely something I think that's worth visiting if you're here. It's in the county of Suffolk, St Andrew's Church in Elveden. This is where 3 of the graves are, and there's also a 4th grave near here where the son of Maharaja Duleep Singh, another of his sons, is buried. So I'll be making my way over there once I've sorted my feet out because they're soaked. So I'll see you there. Village of Blo Norton, St Andrew's Church to be precise, where the 2nd son of Maharaja Duleep Singh is buried. His name was Frederick Victor, and his grave's over here, and it's another one of those that stands out like the previous 3. In memory of Frederick Victor Duleep Singh, 2nd son of the late Maharaja and Maharani Duleep Singh, born January 23rd, 1868, died August 15th, 1926. So this grave is another one that stands out. It's towards the back of the where the headstones are. I think this is the last line of the headstones, of the graves, of the plots, and it does stand out, as compared to the others, in which you can see. So it's another one that's been taken care of. It's maintained because, like I said earlier, there's a lot of pilgrimages that happen. People come to see these graves, pay their respects. A lot of people from abroad also come here and come make their way down to here, which is why I'm a bit gutted in terms of I've taken quite a while to actually make my way down here. I should have actually come and seen these graves a lot earlier, but better late than never, as the saying goes, and best to visit them whilst you can. And just looking at this church, it's what I would call a traditional English church. I'm not sure how far back it dates, but it's definitely unique, I would say. The church is open, so I will have a look inside here just to see what it's like. And the lights aren't on outside. It does say open, but I don't think, will it open? Didn't really want to disturb anyone, but I'm not sure if there's any lights here. Let's see if there's any lights. Yes, there are. Let there be light. It actually says here, to the memory of His Highness Prince Frederick Victor Duleep Singh, MVO, third son, it says third son here, of their Highness, the Maharaja and Maharani of Lahore, born 23rd January 1868, died 15th August 1926. So there's also a plaque. It says here, the refurbishment of the above memorial was funded by Peter Bunce, Sikh historian, in 2018 to commemorate the 150th anniversary of the birth of HH, His Royal Highness Prince Frederick Victor Duleep Singh, 1868 to 1826. Yeah, so Peter Bunce is quite a renowned historian on Sikh history. He's one of the foremost experts on Sikh history and collects a lot of artifacts. But there's no one actually in this church at present. But just walking around here, just to have a look. Actually, lucky the lights were working. I think if it was the lights weren't on, I don't think I'll be able to see much. I'm not sure how much I will be able to capture with the camera, but whatever I can capture, it's a bonus really, because when I was coming here I didn't think the church would be open. Actually got here, there's a couple of leaflets here as well. Maharaja Duleep Singh of Lahore, a country squire. HH, that means His Royal Highness, His Highness Prince Frederick Victor Duleep Singh, a country squire. So that's what so this is what Prince Frederick Victor Duleep Singh looked like. And Duleep Singh, I'm sure there's better photos on Google Images, but just to show you what they look like whilst being here, I think I'll take these leaflets and I'll do some more research. This is how I find out a lot of information. You go to one place, you research whatever you're looking for and find something else from there. A bit like the Maharaja wells that I brought to you. Researched one, found that there was another one, and subsequently there's more. So hopefully I'll be able to go back there one day. But just walking around the church that I'm in, it is quite a rural setting. You have those films of programs that, you know, people have images of what typical English countryside is like. Pretty sure you can make your Downton Abbeys sort of filmed here, but definitely something different. This was the second part. So I saw the first sets of graves in Elveden, drove here, which took about 20-25 minutes, and then I've seen the second church, and just surprised why this grave would be separate from here. I'm sure there's some history behind this and some research behind this, but that concludes my visit to Suffolk, which has been quite a good experience. Quite scenic here. It's a bit cold, and it'll be nice in the summer, I think, so I might pay you a visit again in the summer to see what rural Suffolk is like. But From rural Suffolk, from the village of Blo Norton, it's goodbye.